What you're seeing right there is newly released footage of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at another event that they were hanging out at. And so I think that's a Victoria's Secret party where they went, and you can see Melania in the background, and they're all there, and they're ogling women in their lingerie and stuff like that. Thankfully and uncharacteristically, all of the women that they're ogling there are of legal age. So that's a good change of pace. But this was part of a number of either newly revealed videos and photos or resurfaced ones that have technically been out there, but people weren't aware of. And all of it, it's not really a totally new revelation. We know that Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for years and years and years and years, but it just like it's more points on the timeline of, man, they hung out a lot. God damn, they hung out a lot. There's photos of Epstein attending Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. And so with all these photos, CNN decided to reach out to Donald Trump, and he responded in a very mature fashion.
We were not on the phone very long. I think our call was about 30 seconds or so. But when I asked him about the wedding photo, he said, he sort of paused for a second and then said, "You've got to be kidding me," before calling CNN fake news and then hanging up on me. Now, in a statement to CNN, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said this. He said, "These are nothing more than out of context frame grabs of innocuous videos and pictures of widely attended events to disgustingly infer something nefarious. The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a, quote, creep."
Okay, so I love every part of that. First of all, what do you mean it's out of context? They were partying there. That's the context. It's not like they walked past each other on the street and someone snapped a photo and was like, oh, they're next to each other. No, that's out of context. They were at these events. They were laughing it up. Oh, look at that girl. Oh. That's the context. Also, they weren't inferring anything nefarious. They were implying something nefarious. Look how pedantic I am. Everybody seems to get that wrong. They're widely attended. There were lots of people there. Yeah, but he was chumming up with that guy. That's what he was doing, laughing, as he apparently did for years and years and years and years. That's the context, the important context. And so again, implying something nefarious. No, the relationship implies something nefarious. The photos are just evidence of it. And when the reporter calls Donald Trump and tells him about these and asks for a statement, him saying, "You've got to be kidding me." No, if you think that it's unfair that these things keep bringing up, you need to understand that you have responsibility for that. Both that you were friends with this guy, and also you've never given a good enough accounting of your friendship with him. Like Stephen Chung constantly says, "I threw him out of his club for being a creep." Yeah, that comment is a bit out of context though, isn't it? Yes, well, let's say that he did throw him out of his club. Decades into their friendship of body drawings and hanging out, and Trump showing up at the office late at night, apparently thinking a girl has been brought there for him that he thinks looks 16, but he's still staring at the legs at. All of this stuff. That's what we need an answer for. And if Donald Trump gave a big speech about how, he was friends with this guy for some reason for years and years, and they were guys, they were red-blooded males or whatever, but nothing nefarious happened and blah, blah, blah. Really, and take stock of the fact that you understand that it looks suspicious and you wish that you'd never spent any time with him. If you did all of that stuff, then people might get off your back. But you continue to just deflect and not address the fact that people have very real concerns about this friendship that lasted 4 decades. Here they are at a Harley Davidson cafe opening. Now, you could say that your wedding was widely attended. You're at the opening of cafes with the guy. And honestly, I start to feel bad at this point because he hung out with Epstein more than I've hung out with any of my best guy friends in years. I love Brett Ehrlich. He's wonderful, and he only lives 15 feet from me. I don't hang out with him this often. We're not going to Harley Davidson cafe openings. Maybe I'm the bad guy in the story. Sharon, what do you think?
Does Brett borrow, does he come over and borrow sugar or eggs or anything? I don't know.
No,
I don't know if he lives so
not.
close. Okay, I think that you're spot on. And what people have to understand about celebrities is, look, those look like wingman type photographs, moments in time where they were definitely together. Celebrities don't just, get all chummy with people they don't know. One time I went to a charity banquet. I ended up in the restroom with Venus and Serena. Okay, we were all in there.
Really?
That doesn't mean they were my friends. Another time I met Nobu. I've had a very interesting life. I don't know why, but I had dinner with a celebrity. We worked together at Nobu. Venus
Which
and
celebrity?
Serena and I, he was in a lot of mob movies, okay? It's a long story, okay?
Is it De Niro? Is it Pesci? Who are you doing?
It
I'm
wasn't
very
Pesci.
curious now.
Anyway, it wasn't Pesci. Let's just move on. It was, I didn't even know. My point is, it's a deliberate act. They were there as like, I don't know who was the wingman, but Epstein, Trump, they're chummy. They like each other, okay?
Yeah.
Venus and Serena were not, they didn't know me. In fact, one of the sisters gave me a dirty look. I still love them. It wasn't Serena. It wasn't Serena. It's fine. I had on a very provocative dress. It probably was inappropriate, but that was my choice, okay?
This is the
That was
best
my
story
choice.
that's ever been told
I don't know
on
where
TDR.
I'm going with this. The point is, the images you showed are undeniable. Wingman, okay? Wingman.
Yeah. And the fundamental issue for Donald Trump that makes it difficult for him to do the thing that I said he should do is that there's nothing he can say that's gonna get people to just blank out the years of him going on radio shows and going on TV shows and doing interviews and saying the creepiest thing you can imagine, both generally creepy, but also with that massive subset of, man, I love really young women. And I love talking about how I'm gonna be dating these 12 and 14 and 16-year-olds in a couple years or whatever. Like you can say nothing ever happened with Epstein and you could even be honest about that. But I know what you've said and I know who he is and I can do the mental relationship math of that. And I think a lot of people can.